How are you doing tonight?
Good.
It was Arthur Clarke who said, the only way to find the limits of the possible is going beyond them, into the impossible. Hello, my name is John Sneh, and I'd like to take a moment to share with you a brief story of my life into the Darby School District. Last Tuesday, I received 2 awards at the Senior Award Ceremony. The most shocking one I got was the William Buddha's Most Courageous Athlete Award. I wondered, why me? The story starts in Starnes Hills Elementary School. I came to the school district in 2nd grade. When I arrived at the school, I was lost in a new country, new culture, different ways of doing things. Not to mention, the first time that I was actually sitting in class with a white person. The closest I came before this was on TV at the airport. I also had a lack of family support. My father passed back in Africa, so I traveled to the U.S. with my uncle and his kids, and my oldest brother. Back in those days, I was known as the Little Rascal. Let's just say I came a long way from 2nd grade. I used to act up in class and let my emotion control my behavior. I was so bad that I wasn't allowed to play the drums. It was my most favorite teacher in the whole world, Mrs. Bethany Garofoli, who begged Mr. Shaner to give me a chance to play the drums. Before he said yes, Mrs. Garofoli and I had a very important conversation. I simply told her that I couldn't understand why I couldn't play the drums. She explained to me the situation and told me the deal was I wouldn't be allowed to play the drums unless I could learn to control my behavior. I made a promise to her that day that I would, and I kept it. My 5th grade year at Starnes Hills, I was part of student council, I ran for president, and for the first time in my life, I went honor roll. Rumors have it that Starnes Hill Elementary School staff made me who I am today. I think they were a major part of my upbringing and my building block. Moving on to BHMS. While in this school, I met some amazing teachers who I had a lot of personal conversations with and taught me a lot. For example, Mr. Jim Weigel, Jr. always had some interesting conversations with me. All of my coaches, Mrs. Rush, Mr. Ricky, Mr. Shack, and Mr. Kearns, and all other teachers that helped me academically. They were great. On behalf of me and all my entire 8th grade class, I also want to thank Mrs. Benedict for being an awesome teacher and making us just enjoy the best part of life. When I got to BH, I was finally fitting in with the cool kids. I was always trying to be the class clown. I also remember the fun bus rides with Mrs. Tierney and Mr. Gregory to the UB swimming pool. I remember getting sent down to Mr. Patterson's office to have our daily talks. I guess you can say my 6th grade year wasn't my best. But during my 7th grade year, my band director, Mr. Blessington, who was also a very good friend of Mr. Shaner, sat me down and had a discussion with me. He told me I had to learn how to take responsibility for my actions. And if I couldn't get it together, I would have to stop being a band. Later that same week, on my visit back to Starnes Hills, I met with Mr. Kearns. Mr. Kearns read me this newspaper article about an African girl who came to the U.S. the same way I did. She was an amazing track and field athlete and was going to a university on a scholarship. That's when I started thinking, what if I could do that one day? Later that year, I joined just about every club I could at BH. Finishing out my Beverly Hills years, I was a member of the chorus, select singers, the band. In addition, I was on the football team, soccer team, wrestling, track, and all those teams. And I played summer basketball for the Paladin. As a matter of fact, I was in the same position you are now as a award ceremony. Moving on to the big Upper Darby High School. That's where you will be next year. Yeah, I know, that's crazy, right? For me, it was a huge change. It was like moving to a whole new environment again. But only this time, I was going with records, reputation, and my homeboys. Or at least what I thought was my homeboys. Do me a favor. When you get to Upper Darby High School, get involved. Through concert choir and power basketball, I met my best friend, Danny Ballou. He's now my best friend and my future roommate for college. After my freshman year at UD, my brother moved back to Africa and my uncle moved to Delaware. So I had to move to Delaware and do the whole moving process again. It was like starting my life all over again. After a year in Delaware, I just missed Upper Darby so much that I had to come back. I told my best friend Denny. He then later persuaded his parents and his entire family to let me live with them. I can't find words to explain how grateful I am for that and all they have done for me. Not only have they given me a lot of financial support, but while I'm in the Ballou family, I have had the most intense discussions with their parents. They constantly help me with my communication skills, for example, telling me to speak like Obama. My manners, you know your please and your thank yous. And doing my part within the family setting. We also discussed a lot about my future and what I want to do with my life. I finally decided that I am going to follow my dreams and become a college student athlete. And Upper Darby High School is full of opportunity. It's just what you want to make of it. Take advantage of them. Because while in Upper Darby High School, I participated in a jazz band, concert choir, and orchestra. I was also on a football team, wrestling, track teams. My senior year at Upper Darby High School was probably the best year. As a kicker for the varsity football team, I was all-Delco player of the week. For wrestling, I was the team co-captain. I was third in Delaware County, ranked second in the Central League. I finished my career in the UD 800 win club with 83 wins. 80 win club with 83 wins. This year, our team won the Central League Championship. My greatest moment was winning the final match and helping bring the Central League title to Upper Darby. I am also very proud that our wrestling team holds the record for the most wins in a single season with a record of 20-4. I had some fun college visits this year. And then I have been accepted and offered many scholarships. In such schools such as William Penn University of Iowa, Wilkes University, Lyell Company, and Drexel University. My final decision is Drexel University. While there, my major will be studying criminal justice, pre-law. I will also be playing the jazz quartet and wrestling Division I. When I was talking to Ms. Garofalo the other day, she reminded me of the earliest experience that I faced with racism and the race difference. When I was in 4th grade, she took me to see a movie at a movie theater. It was The Haunted Mansion. When we got there, I noticed I was the only black person in the whole theater. And I noticed many were looking at me. Then I asked her, why are they looking at me weird? Her fiance said it was because I was a pretty good looking guy. Then Mrs. Garofalo explained to me the whole racism thing. Now, I understand that some of those people in the audience might have been racist, and some just curious. But isn't that ironic that this African American standing in front of me right now has been raised in a multicultural environment? And that is exactly what you get in Upper Darby High School, with more than 100 different countries and cultures represented. What other school district can say that? My suggestion is stay open-minded. That's the story of my life. I have many people to thank, and I don't know how I can ever be able to pay them back, but I can simply promise to just pay it forward. But now is your moment. Someone once told me, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. So I ask you today, what organizations or clubs will you join? How hard are you willing to work academically? What are you willing to do to go above and beyond? Make your high school experience a great one or not. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Mr. Canigliaro could not attend this evening, so I will be presenting the American Legion Awards. The American Legion Award